William Alexander, known as Lord Stirling, was an American major general during the American Revolutionary War. Alexander sought the title sometime after 1756, and was considered male heir to the title of Earl of Stirling through Scottish lineage, and this was decided in a Scottish court. The House of Lords ultimately overruled Scottish law and denied the title. A compromise was the title of Lord. Lord Stirling commanded the 1st Maryland Regiment that fought at the Battle of Long Island. He lost the battle and was captured, but his actions allowed General George Washington's troops to escape. Stirling was returned by prisoner exchange, promoted for his actions, and served with distinction throughout the war. He was trusted by Washington, and in 1780 he exposed the Conway Cabal. Life. Alexander was educated, ambitious, and proficient in mathematics and astronomy. He joined his mother, Mary Alexander, in a successful business and, in 1747, married Sarah Livingston, the daughter of Philip Livingston and sister of Governor William Livingston. The couple had 2 daughters and 1 son, William. One of his daughters, Mary Alexander, would marry a wealthy merchant named Robert Watts of New York. Another daughter, Catherine, was the wife of Congressman William Dewar. Title of nobility. The title Earl of Stirling became dormant or expired upon the death of Henry Alexander, the 5th Earl of Stirling. William's father, James Alexander, who had fled from Scotland in 1716 after participating in the Jacobite Rising, obviously did not seek the title. Upon his death, William laid claim to the title and filed suit. His relationship to the 5th Earl was not through heirs of the body, but through heir male collateral, and the inheritance by proximity of blood had been questioned. It was settled in his favour, by a unanimous vote of a jury of 12 in a Scottish court in 1759, and William claimed the disputed title of Earl of Stirling. It is not clear if the case went to court because of an unfavourable answer from the Lord Leon, King of Arms, concerning the peerage. Legal opinion was that this was a Scottish heir problem, so the title right was solved. This might have been unopposed, as indisputable peerage, except there was a catch. The 2 sponsors, Archibald Campbell, 3rd Duke of Argyll, and John Stuart, 3rd Earl of Bute, encouraged William through representatives to seek the title. The goal was vast land holdings in America that the holder of the title was to enjoy. The sponsors were to receive money and land if Alexander was successful. With this in mind, William decided to petition the House of Lords. A friend and professional agent in Scotland, Andrew Stewart, wrote and advised William not to petition the House of Lords. He felt that the right of indisputable peerage demanded that William just claim the titles as others had done. His opinion was that others lay similar claims to titles, so he would not be opposed. It is possible William did not want to commit a crime, or be found out, and if the House of Lords advanced his claim it would be forever legal. One problem is that to prove his claim in court, 2 old men were used to testify that William did in fact descend from the 1st Earl through his uncle, named John Alexander. This might have been persuasive in a Scottish court, but might be considered dubious in England. Stirling inherited a large fortune from his father. He dabbled in mining and agriculture and lived a life filled with the trappings befitting a Scottish lord. This was an expensive lifestyle, and he eventually went into debt to finance it. He began building his grand estate in the Basking Ridge section of Bernards Township, New Jersey, and upon its completion, sold his home in New York and moved there. George Washington was a guest there on several occasions during the Revolution, and gave away Stirling's daughter at her wedding. In 1767, the Royal Society of Arts awarded Lord Stirling a gold medal for accepting the Society's challenge to establish viticulture and winemaking in the North American colonies by cultivating 2,100 grapevines on his New Jersey estate. American Revolution. When the American Revolutionary War began, Stirling was made a colonel in the New Jersey colonial militia. Because he was wealthy, he outfitted the militia at his own expense and was willing to spend his own money in support of the Patriot cause. He distinguished himself early by leading a group of volunteers in the capture of an armed British naval transport. The Second Continental Congress appointed him Brigadier General in the Continental Army in March 1776. At the Battle of Long Island, in August of that year, Stirling led the stalwart, well-trained 1st Maryland Regiment in repeated attacks against a superior British Army force under command of Gen. Sir William Howe at the old stone house near what is today named the Gowanus Creek, which empties into upper New York Bay, and took heavy casualties. The Redcoats had made a wide flanking attack sweeping to the east through the lightly guarded Jamaica Pass, one of a series of low entrances through the ridgeline of hills running east to west through the center of Long Island, catching the Patriot forces on their left side. Outnumbered 25-1, his brigade was eventually overwhelmed and Stirling himself was taken prisoner during the disciplined and measured retreat, but not before repelling the British forces long enough to allow the main body of Washington's Continental troops to escape to defensive positions at Brooklyn Heights, along the East River shoreline. Later, under the cover of a miraculous fog which enveloped the East River, and the rearguard covering actions of the Marylanders, Washington was able to barge his remaining troops and equipment across back to Manhattan Island and New Yorktown, and so save his army and the Patriot cause for another more opportune fight. Because of his actions at Long Island, one newspaper called him the bravest man in America, and he was praised by both Washington and the British for his bravery and audacity. Later, a commemorative monument was erected at the site of the military engagements and embattled retreat in the plot of land deeded to the state of Maryland near Prospect Park as a sacred parcel of blood-soaked Maryland soil. Lord Alexander was released in a prisoner exchange, in return for Governor Montfort Brown, and promoted to the rank of Major General, and became one of Washington's most able and trusted generals. Washington held him in such high regard that he placed Stirling in command of the entire Continental Army for nearly 2 months. While he was away on personal business and throughout most of the war, he was considered to be 3rd or 4th in rank behind General Washington. Though he cast his lot with the Patriot cause during the American Revolution, officers and men alike often referred to him as Lord Stirling, in reference to his nobility of bearing. At Christmas Trenton, he received the surrender of a Hessian German mercenary regiment. On the 26th of June 1777, at Metuchen, he awaited an attack contrary to Washington's orders. His position was turned and his division defeated, losing 2 guns and 150 men in the Battle of Short Hills. Subsequent battles at Brandywine, Germantown in Pennsylvania during the campaign to defend the colonial capital of Philadelphia, and Monmouth, cemented his reputation for bravery and sound tactical judgment. At the battles of Brandywine and Germantown he acted with bravery and discretion. At the Monmouth battle, he displayed tactical judgment in posting his batteries, and repelled with heavy loss an attempt to turn his flank. During the devastating winter encampment at Valley Forge, northwest of Philadelphia, where the occupying Redcoats were ensconced in late 1777 and early 1778, his military headquarters was at the now preserved Marge, Gen. Lord Stirling quarters. In January 1780, he led an ineffective raid against Staten Island on the western shores of New York Bay. Lord Stirling also played a part in exposing the Conway Cabal, a conspiracy of disaffected Continental officers looking to remove Washington as commander-in-chief and replace him with General Horatio Gates. When Washington took his army south from above New Yorktown in 1781, joining French General Comte de Rochambeau from Newport, Rhode Island, with an allied army of Royal French and German troops to catch Lord Cornwallis at his temporary base on the York River and the Chesapeake Bay at Yorktown, Virginia. He appointed Stirling commander of the elements of the Northern Army that he left behind to guard New York, and he was sent up the Hudson River to Albany. Stirling, always a heavy drinker, was in poor health by this time, suffering from severe gout and rheumatism. He died in Albany on 15 January 1783. His untimely death, just months before the official end of the war for American independence with the Treaty of Paris of 1783, is the probable reason that he is not as well known today as many of the other generals. Still, his significant contributions made him one of the most important figures of the American Revolution. He was buried in the churchyard of Trinity Church facing the historic Wall Street district, in New York City. Legacy. His nephew was Senator John Rutherford. His son-in-law was Congressman William Duer. His grandson was College President William Alexander Duer. His great-grandson was Congressman William Duer. His great-grandson was General Stephen Watts Kearny. His great-great-grandson was General Philip Kearny, Jr., who died in action during the Civil War. MS 51, a middle school on the former Gowanus battlefield, is named William Alexander Middle School. Stirling, New Jersey, an unincorporated community in Long Hill Township, is located a short distance from Alexander's house in Basking Ridge. The Lord Stirling School in New Brunswick, New Jersey is named for him. Lord Stirling Park in Basking Ridge, New Jersey is located on part of his estate. Stirling Hill Mine was named after him, as he once owned the property. Lord Stirling 1770s Festival. The town of Stirling, Massachusetts. For further reading, William Alexander, Lord Stirling, George Washington's noble general, Paul David Nelson, University of Alabama Press, 2003, ISBN 978-0-8173-5083-3. Alexander, William, pages 175-76 in Dictionary of American Biography, Volume 1. Edited by Alan Johnson, Publisher. C. Scribner's Sons, New York, 1943. The Life of William Alexander, Earl of Stirling, Major General in the Army of the United States during the Revolution, with selections from his correspondence. Collections of New Jersey Historical Society, Volume 2. By his grandson William Alexander Duer. Published by Wiley and Putnam, New York 1847.